Hey, Truth Warriors, welcome to the stream. We are live. Can everybody hear me out there? Hello, hello. Come on, come in. Check, check. Can I get a breaker 19? All right. So at this point, I wait for the YouTube page to pop on. All right. Sounds good on my end. I look nice and clear today. That's good news. All right. So far in my chat, who do we have here today? We have Aaron Calderon. We have Rocco Calzone, Shaken Stevens, Brassnet, Jay Bird. Let's learn something new. Over in the UK, of course, got Lex G, Stephen Crumley, Plastic Busters, Tyler from Wisco says, "Sup, Jake? Sup, Tyler from Wisco." All right, so we're going to go ahead and get this thing started today. But first, before we do, go ahead and smash the thumbs up. And I want to welcome all the Truth Warriors. We are live. I have a awesome stream for you. No guest, just me, just you, just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us. And I hope we don't die. Boop-be-doo. That's right. We are live, Truth Warriors. We are live. And like I said, no guests today. We just had FPV on last weekend, Saturday, and we had Shay on a few times last week. So you guys saw the information that they presented. I hope you at least saw some of it. Their idea of a flat rectangular Earth is different than most other flat Earth maps because they say Russia and Alaska are on separate sides of the world and that you cannot just cross over that little 51-mile gap in the Bering Strait and go from Alaska into Russia. And so that has led me to do my own research along the international date line. And I have found evidence of flight manipulation, which I showed you guys a couple streams ago. And also in FPV's live stream, we showed you evidence of some flight manipulation and some extremely strange routes. So hopefully you guys caught up on most of that information. It didn't seem like all of you guys were quite getting the message and you weren't quite understanding the scope of what was being presented. So I wanted to go ahead and show you guys some of the research I've done, which actually supports the notion that we do live on a rectangular plane. However, the rectangular plane is not the ultimate shape of our world. It may just be the barnyard. So you have to look at this rectangular shape as our barnyard. And people are quick to say, well, what if I get on a plane and go here? I've been on the plane that flew from this location to this location. So how do you explain that? And so we already showed that the flights can be manipulated. You might be going one direction and think you're going in an entirely different direction. The plane on the flight tracker doesn't always match up to what might be reality. So today we're going to go in a different direction. We're not going to look at flights today so much. We're going to look at sea routes, shipping routes. So a lot of the reasons that the plane routes claim to have to take this northern trajectory is because of the curvature of the Earth, as well as it's too dangerous to go over the Pacific Ocean, they claim. So when we look at boats, I was interested to see the sea routes from, let's say, California to Japan, or Alaska to Australia, Hawaii to Japan, what have you. So I found a website where you can actually look this sort of thing up. So I went to this website called ports.com, and it'll actually calculate the sea routes for you and show you the sea route that is taken from one port to the next, the most popular route. And I'll show you, let's see, right here. Pull it up on the screen. All right. So here we have a site called ports.com. And I can go ahead and type in the ports on this website, and it'll calculate the sea route. And so the first thing I wanted to do was look at the sea routes that are crossing the international date line, because that's where the deception is. Looks like I got a super chat coming in. PJC Net with a 5, I guess that's euros donation to get us started. Thanks, I appreciate that. Appreciate that a lot. First one to get us started tonight. All right, so the first thing I wanted to look at, because we looked at a plane route from LAX airport to Tokyo, Japan, and the plane went up into Alaska and turned around, shot across the screen backwards, disappeared, shot across the screen backwards again. You can see that on my flat Earth flight manipulation evidence video or stream that I did just last week. So today we're looking at ports. So I'm going to go ahead and type in Port of Los Angeles in this first one. Port of Los Angeles. And in this next one, I'm going to type in Port of Tokyo. All right. Now, here's the deal. We know where Los Angeles is, and we know where Japan is. So do you think a boat is just going to go ahead and take this straight line across here? You would think so, that a boat would take the straight line. Or is the boat going to go up into Alaska as well, like the plane does? Let's find out, shall we? A 1, a 2, a 3, calculate. Now, I already know what happens, but you guys don't. You ready for this? You ready for this? You ready for this? Here it comes! Booyah! What's up? What's up? You want to go from Los Angeles by boat to Japan? That's the route you got to take. According to this website, which specializes in this sort of thing, you got to go through the Panama Canal to the south. All right, then you got to cut above Africa, drop back down below India, boom, catch Japan coming north. Look at that. You have to go across the world. And even more interesting, they even have the distance, 20,351 nautical miles. It would take you a speed of 10 knots, 84 days, almost 85 days. And you can change the speed. Maximum speed's 40 knots. It would still take you 21 days. 21 days, y'all. So you have to ask yourself, why are they not going this way? Everyone's so quick to tell me where they flew. Look at the boat route. So you guys, right off the gate, that right there is bad news for the globe. You know what else it's bad news for? The AE map. Because on the pizza pie map, they have Russia and Alaska next to each other. So on the pizza pie map, you're going to have this route as well, going all the way around in a big old circle, going backwards. So even on the pizza pie map, if you are a supporter of the AE map, you should still not be taking that route. Oh, and guess what else? It destroys the concave. This is the same thing on a concave. So here's the problem that the globe, the concave, and the AE map have is this. And this isn't the only route. Let's go ahead and change it to change it to Australia this time. Okay, so we all know where Australia is on this map. So if you're going to sail from Los Angeles to Australia, you should head southwest, right? Southwest. So we're going to say we're going to Sydney from Los Angeles. So we'll start with Port of Los Angeles again. Now we're going to go Port of Sydney. Ready for this? And a 1, 2, 3, boom, there it is. Same deal. Look at this time. You have to go underneath Africa, all the way across the entire continent of Australia to get to this side. Why wouldn't they just go from here to here, southwest? We're on a boat, y'all. Talking about a boat. We're not talking about an airplane anymore. There you have it. Look at the distance, 18,412 miles. At 10 knots, that's going to be 76 days. 40 knots, it's going to be 20 days. Have you ever heard Amazon, or have you ever ordered something from overseas, China, Japan, what have you, and it's going to take 3 weeks to get there, shipping? It's because it's on the other side of the world. All right, you guys ready for this one? Now we're going to change it up, and we're going to go Los Angeles to Hawaii. Los Angeles to Hawaii, just to show you guys that this thing doesn't calculate all the routes going the wrong way. See? Oh, what the hell? Oh, it still has the other one up on the screen. Hold on, let me refresh the screen. It still had the last route on the screen. We're going to go from Los Angeles to Hawaii now. Show you guys what that looks like. Shit. Honolulu. All right. Distance of 3,000 nautical miles. There you go. Right? We all on board? Okay, there's Los Angeles to Hawaii. All right, now let's have some fun. Now we're going to go Hawaii to Japan. So we're going to go Honolulu this time as your starting place. Honolulu to Tokyo. All right, just to show everybody where they are on this Mercator map out here when you get to the date line. You'd have to cross the date line. So here we are. Here's Hawaii. Here's Tokyo. And away we go. See a problem here with the distance being 22,000 nautical miles? Yeah, that's going to be a problem for the globe. It's going to be a problem for the AE map. It's going to be a problem for a concave world. There you have it. Hawaii to Japan by boat. Hawaii to Japan by boat. 22,000 nautical miles. If you're going 10 knots, it's going to take you 91 days. That's a long time. Let's go the maximum speed of 40 knots, 23 days. 23 days to go from Japan to Hawaii. Don't get mad at me because you guys don't like what the website's showing you and it doesn't go along with what you thought in your head. I'm showing you what the website says. Go try and prove that you can fly across the Pacific or that you can boat across it. You're going to start running into issues. So when we were looking at the flights, they were going from Los Angeles up into Alaska, and then the flight was turning in circles, and then it disappeared off the screen and shot back east. So why are the flight routes being manipulated? A, and then B, the shipping routes, they're just showing that you have to go the long way across the world. You can't go west to get east. You can't go east to get west. You and I damn well know from Hawaii to Japan, the short way, it's right there. All right. And this will be the same thing if we go with Port of Sydney. It's going to go across the world. Refresh the screen. This time we'll go Hawaii to Sydney, Australia. All right. Show you where you would think it would go. So here's Hawaii. You're going to take a southwest shot right down to Australia, right? Not so fast. Not so fast. It's 20,000 miles because you got to go that way. What do you think, folks? What do you guys think, huh? So this means, if this is true, the AE mappers are full of shit in their shills, and they're trying to keep you from figuring this out. Because all the AE mappers have Alaska and Russia right next to each other. In fact, every map with Alaska and Russia right next to each other might be a disinformation agent, or they just haven't been doing their research, because they can't explain this. On an AE map, you guys, do you understand that this route is going to wrap a big, huge circle? When on the AE map, you should still just be going west in a circle to get to Japan from LA, or slightly northwest to get from Hawaii to Japan. And look at this route from Hawaii to Sydney. That's a problem for the globe, that they don't go the short way. That's a problem for the AE map, that they don't go the short way. And that's a problem for the concave map. There was a concave guy in here earlier telling me flat Earth is a psyop. Well, in his concave world, this is basically the exact same thing that's got to happen on the globe. Why wouldn't you go the short way in your concave cell? All right. So this is where my research has led me. So not only do we have flight route manipulation, the sea routes, they aren't even trying to lie. They're just showing you that they're going that long direction. So you have to ask yourself, how come none of the shills ever discovered this? How come Guru Mr. Eric Dubé has never looked into any of this? How come Flat Earth Dave, David Weiss never looked into this? How come Jaron never looked into this? Now, I will admit I was late to the party on this. I should have figured this out earlier, but I was still thinking that you have to go out one side of the map and pop out the other. And I didn't realize that that's possibly not what's happening at all, that you don't pop out from one side of the map to the other. So this could be basically our rectangular barnyard that we're looking at, folks. Cool story, bro, says that pizza pie map BS is so dumb. Got Shay here. Said, tried to tell them. Yes, I had checked out FPV's research as well, but I never found the exact point where it clicked with me that you can't Pac-Man in and out of the map. So whatever the sun's doing is something different than what us humans can do. And it actually makes sense now that if they're taking these long routes, if they're manipulating flights, there could be more land to the north, there could be more land to the south, east, and west. And this is basically just our section of the barnyard. So at this point, I was starting to look at different maps and try and figure out different flight routes they could be taking. And I also started thinking that possibly the continents are also misrepresented, of course. Like, I don't think Russia might even be that big. Perhaps things are smaller, like perhaps it's a small world after all. It's a small world after all. It's a small world after all. So I started looking into different maps, trying to figure out perhaps maybe it's like Mercator, but just slightly different. And I was looking into some different maps. I'll go ahead and show you some of the maps I was looking at. So, got a Super chat coming in from Javid. According to Jaron, you used to say you're not the research guy. Now look at you. To be fair, maybe they haven't figured it out. I told Whitsitt about Shaylin's map. He said to reach out to him. I wouldn't do that, Shay. I wouldn't reach out to Whitsitt. He's tied back to Jaron and Bob, and he was part of the crew that went against me and talked shit about me when I was exposing Jaron back in December. So I wouldn't reach out to that guy because he's directly tied back to Globebusters and Potatoes crew. I definitely wouldn't. In fact, I'm definitely going to tell Shay to stay away from most of these people. It wouldn't shock me if they start coming around and pretending that now they're figuring this out, now that it's going to come out. And so, thank you, Javid, for the donation. I know that you donated to the other stream the other day, and I missed a couple of your donations. So I want to apologize for missing a few of your donations. I went back and watched the replay, as I always do, and I saw that you donated several times, and I missed like one or two of your super chats last time. So thank you for donating last time and this time, buddy. I appreciate you being here. All right, so let me show you guys a few maps I was looking at that I found to be interesting. And you guys can tell me what you think here in chat. So I was looking at different ways to have the Mercator style map, but just change the shape a little bit. So if you change it just slightly to, let's say, like a diamond, then you can end up with this one called Adam's World. This one's called Adam's World 2 map. Go ahead and share it. All right. So check this one out. This is Adam's World 2, and I like this one because it kind of like it gives this like bigger landmass down here, kind of as a Antarctica, and just stretches the continents a little differently than some of the other maps. So I was trying to find one where the northern routes are a little shorter. Like if you could go from Los Angeles, take a northern route over to Russia and have it not be that super long, like not have to shoot all the way across a huge map. So I was trying to find something from California when you take a northern route that you could get over here to Russia and have it not take too long. And still have the east to west being different sides of the world, Alaska and Russia on different sides of the world. So I was trying to figure out how to basically tighten up the north and keep these flight routes somehow a little shorter. And it led me to this map here, Adam's World, which I thought was interesting. All right, so there's that one. And then let's see, I found this one called Sinusoidal. It's pretty interesting too. It's like a kind of a diamond, almost like an onion kind of shape. It's pretty interesting as well. It's got a similar thing going on. All right, so here's Sinusoidal. And I also like the way that this one kind of tightens up the northern hemisphere flat, we'll call it, because I could take a plane from LA, California, and head up north, bam, and get to Russia relatively quick without it taking tons of time. So I like the way this one kind of shortens things up in the north, brings things to a point. But again, this is just a different way of looking at it. And still, it keeps Russia and Alaska on opposite sides of the world. So here's the sinusoidal projection. What do you guys think of this one? Beast Easy Gaming says, so Japan really the Pacific East and we're the Pacific West, and we really don't share the same ocean. That's precisely what this model says, and the research that I've shown you has supported that so far. The research that I've found is that at the date line, there's some funky stuff going on, some wonky stuff. There's some wonky stuff going on with flights and some wonky stuff going on with the sea routes. And so we have to start looking at maps that have Russia and Alaska separated. And we have to basically start throwing out the maps that have them next to each other. If this is indeed the case, that they are on opposite sides of the world, and more research needs to be done. But if it is indeed the case, then that means the shills are protecting that knowledge. They're gatekeeping that knowledge. And you need to throw out the AE map. You need to throw out the globe, and you need to throw out concave. If this is true, if you keep going west, you're not going to arrive back in the east. That means concave is just as wrong as the globe and just as wrong as the AE map. So basically, it's like a triple debunk when you start looking into this. And then you also start looking into Pearl Harbor being an inside job. And you have to look at World War II as possibly being a charade to seal up the borders of our world that we know. Aaron Calderon says, one, conscience is very good at expanding on research. She looks places I don't think to look, as well as FPV2. It's hard to make progress with this sometimes. Hey, I just started looking into it. I've just scratched the surface, and already I found airplane manipulation, and I proved it and recorded it that it's happening. And I have showed you guys the sea routes. And now I'm already looking at these maps, and I'm already seeing, like, now it makes perfect sense why the shills stick to the AE map. And it also makes perfect sense why the globe and concave both fall apart when you start looking at this. Like I said, the sea routes on a globe are going to be going the wrong way by thousands and thousands of miles. So why would they waste that kind of time, energy, and fuel unless they have to go that way? So here's just one other idea that I looked at. Now here's an even funkier one I want to show you guys. This is one of the funkiest maps that I looked at that keeps Russia and Alaska apart. But this one has them a little closer together, but still enough apart to be possible. So this next one I want to show you is called the Bonne projection. And it's basically like a heart-shaped Earth, which I find to be interesting. And again, this is just, I'm not saying this is for sure what I think it is. I'm just showing you guys some different maps that I'm looking at right now to try and figure it all out. So this one's called the Bonne projection. I've been trapped inside your heart-shaped box for weeks. Right? So this one's your heart-shaped box, heart-shaped Earth. And I like the fact that this one keeps Russia separate from Alaska, but there's still a possibility that you could jaunt right over semi-quickly. But there's still this gap in between there to where they can be separate. So I like how this one you could actually shoot across to, let's say, Los Angeles to Japan relatively quickly. See what I mean? Shoot over to the other side faster. So I like these maps for explaining flights that seem to get to places a little shorter or a little quicker. You can tighten some of these areas up on these maps. And so I thought this one was interesting. And still, you have them, being on separate sides of the world, just closer in this instance. So this one is the Bonne projection. What do you guys think of this one? Lucas says I cannot super chat. That's really weird. I've gotten a few of them tonight. I'm not sure what the problem would be. That's weird if they're keeping people from super chatting. All right. Shay doesn't like this one. All right. Let's see. PJC Nets is probably not, but anything is possible. All right. Lucas says Trying to reach you. Yeah, lots of people are trying to reach me. You know, I'm kind of a popular guy sometimes. All right, so this is just one map I was looking at, just trying to put it all together and make sense of things. Got a super chat coming in from Javid. Says, I hurt you. The earth shape is a Valentine. Yeah, you know, it's interesting how as dumb as it looks to put a heart and an earth together, what if this is still way more accurate than a pizza pie map? What if this one still gets it more correct than the pizza pie map? So, or the globe for that matter. So you got to think of it like that. So it might not be right, but what if it's closer than the globe or closer than concave even? And anything outside here is just all question marks. Doesn't have to be ice wall. It can just be question marks. All right, let me go ahead and move on to some more maps. I found some other ones that are very similar to this one as well, this Bonne projection. Or they're basically the same. All right. See, it's like this one, you still got same kind of deal. You still got Russia and Alaska separated by this gap. So I was trying to figure out a way that like these flights could be shortened up somehow just by looking at some different maps. And still you'd have to take the big long shipping routes through the Panama Canal if you want to go to Japan or if you want to go to Australia over here. So these are the Bonne shaped, BONNE. Mr. Chris with a donation says, you missed my super chat. I was saying Condor planes can reach the Earth in an hour. Maybe it's different planes. What do you mean reach the Earth in an hour? I'm not quite sure I get what you mean. If I missed your super chat, I'm going back right now. Was it today I missed it? Or was it on last stream or something? I'm trying to go back and find it. Oh, shit. There it is. My bad, buddy. They have planes that can make it anywhere in the world in 1 hour. The longer routes, they might be using different planes. I don't know if that's true, man. I don't know if that's true. If so, I've never seen that proven that you can go anywhere in an hour. And still, when you look at the boat routes, they're going the long way. So when it comes to planes, it's hard to know. Whereas the boats, they show that they're going the long way. So it's interesting what you're saying. I can't say for sure that type of technology doesn't exist, but I don't know for sure that it does exist either. But thank you for the donation. I think there's some sort of hidden routes that they're taking to get to places quicker. And I think there's jet streams that could possibly be pushing the plane faster than we even think. But they're also going out of the way to try and make it look like we're on a globe. And so they're confusing people with the flight manipulation, not just to hide flat Earth, but also to really keep that globe deception alive. So it's hard to just look at flight data. That's why I'm trying to expand and look at the sea routes as well and look at all sorts of data. And coming up in a future stream, I want to show you guys some interesting sunrise and sunset problems that are arising with the globe in some of these places where the sun is said to come up hours and hours difference in places that are right next to each other. So I'll show you guys in the future how time zones and the sunrises and sunsets aren't quite matching up on the globe model either. And when you flip the globe model inside out and make it concave, it's not going to match on that one either. And AE map, we already know, has lots of problems. So the more I'm looking into it and realizing that we might very well live in basically this rectangular barnyard where east is east and west is west, and they do not meet. North is north, south is south, and they do not meet. If that is true, then it basically blows all those other models out of the water. And it proves that the people pushing those other models are liars and charlatans. So we got a guy who's in his profile pictures wearing a mask. That's probably not a good sign. And he says there's a flight from Peru to Australia. How does that work? Well, if you watched my flight manipulation videos, you'll see that the routes that they take don't go straight there. The routes go to the north. And in some cases, when you're tracking the flight, the plane will start spinning in circles, going the wrong direction, and even disappear off the screen. So I filmed that happening and showed that you don't know what direction the plane is flying unless you're on it and you're filming your compass the whole time. You really got to come with some sort of data to prove, and you have to be aware of it. So if you, let's say, took a flight and you think you know which direction you went, what I'm saying is you might have went in a different direction, but you just didn't know it. Because I've had people tell me they flew from LA to Japan and they went southwest. But then when you look at the route that they claim to take, they don't go southwest. Even on their route they claim to take, they go up to Alaska. So why are people telling me they know which direction they flew when they didn't have a compass out? They weren't really paying attention. They weren't thinking about it at the time. And why are you here wearing a mask in your profile pic, bro? That's a very sheeple thing to do. It makes me think that you're some sort of Glober sheeple and you're afraid of the boogeyman disease. Are you afraid of spiky balls going in your face? Like, why would you have a mask on in your profile pic like that? Just wondering. Javid Ben Cosme says celebs that fly privately seem to arrive anywhere faster. Do they take different routes? Remember when Conor McGregor flew to Vegas to attack Khabib? It could have been fake though. Well, you don't know when they're taking off. Like, you don't know when or where or what's going on. See, so when it comes to you not really knowing, it's hard to assume. See what I'm saying? And so you really got to come with some hardcore evidence. All right. So Toscadonna says, I was a person who said we flew southwest because we were following the sun. I was thinking about it. Does the sun not set in the west? We followed the sun across the sky going west. See, that's interesting that you claim that because the route doesn't claim to do that. So why would, if that's what you did, then why doesn't the tracker show that happening? Why don't the plane routes show that happening? Instead, they're going to Alaska, is what they're showing. So I'm suggesting you might not have totally been paying attention, and I'm trying to put it all together, taking what people say in the comments and taking the data that I'm looking at, and like a puzzle, put it all together. So if you were following the sun, that doesn't quite make sense. But when you said southwest, Japan isn't southwest on any map of Los Angeles. It's not south of Los Angeles at all. If anything, it's a straight west line, slightly to the north. But they don't take that route. So I'm trying to piece it all together, and I'm finding some strange stuff. Like with a boat, for instance, there's no reason that they wouldn't just take a straight line west, or if they're going to Australia, a straight line southwest from LA. But the boats are showing that they're going through the Panama Canal and across the world. And they're taking, at the best case, going the fastest they can, 20 days to get there. All right, Retro Bill with a donation says, Jake, I enjoyed your short mass powwow videos or pow videos on BitChute. Yes, on BitChute I released 2 videos going after some act whores. There's some terrible act whores with some duper's delight. pushing a really terrible thing. So I went after these people with no filter. So if you want to see me with no filter and you want to hear me say lots of bad words and such, on BitChute, I released 2 short videos going after some actors, and make sure to check that out. All right. And thank you, Retro Bill, for the shout out and donation. I appreciate that. Atlas says, with no 100% confirmed map, you don't even know where north really is. You know, just because the compass points at something they call north, who's to say that's north if they made it up, you know? So we know the compass points at something. But what if, like, they have a map where north isn't where the compass points or something like that? What if that's a way to throw us off? And so you got to look at it like your rectangular portion of the earth, your little egg-shaped portion of the earth, whatever, and then everything around outside that is a question mark. So the earth could very well be infinite. The earth could be 10 times bigger. It could be massive with all sorts of continents outside our known world. However, you don't have to be completely surrounded by an ice wall now. So, what I like about this is it opens up all sorts of possibilities. It disproves globe and concave and AE map all at the same time. It really is the breakthrough I was looking for as far as this information goes. So, if a person wants to prove the AE map, all they have to do is just go from Alaska to Russia real quick. Just head on over there. You know, like Flat Earth Millionaire or Dave Weiss or one of these guys. Let's see you go ahead and prove that those 2 places are right next to each other. Let's see you go ahead and go in a circle around the North Pole. So I've thought that too, that perhaps what the compass is pointing at, perhaps you know, might not be what the elite consider north. Who knows? Uh, hey, we're all trying to find answers here. So I don't expect everybody to hop right on board, but I noticed a lot of people after the last few streams didn't seem to grasp the scope of what's being presented. And if it is true, and if you research it, there's some things that do seem to support this notion that you can't go that way and pop out over here. You can't go this way and pop out over here. You can't go north and pop out to the south. And when you start looking into that notion, the flat Earth starts to become relevant again in a whole new way. And so I'm finding it exciting to be researching the topic again. It's like a rebirth of the topic in the channel in a way. Javid says, you remind me of 50 Cent when he, hold on. Okay, Javid says, you remind me of 50 Cent when he attacked anybody working with Ja Rule. Could have been a fake beef too, though. I guess the private flights are faster because they fly whenever they want. Never had anyone say that I remind them of 50 Cent. No, I don't know what's happening on private flights, and neither do you. And so that's all I'm saying is we don't know, you know, for sure what's going on a private flight. So we're always going to end up taking somebody's word for it. However, I think there are some routes that are hidden from us where you can get to places quicker than usual, or some jet streams, if you will, that make you fly much faster than you would think. For sure. Cool Story Bros says, deep inside the rabbit hole is obviously disinfo ops on many fronts. That dude claimed he witnessed planes hitting the tower from across the river. Yeah, that guy is as shilly as it gets, and he's the one going representing Flat Earth in all the interviews and keeping it pizza pie. And I went back and watched an old debate between Laurie Freire, Darren Nesbitt, and Jaron and David Weiss, and Darren and Lori were presenting a rectangular or a diamond shaped map, but they were going with the Pac-Man sun. And so 4 years ago, they had this debate, and it was basically Pac-Man sun debate and versus AE map. And so when you throw the Pac-Man out, as far as they were saying that with like people and the sun both pop out. So when you throw Pac-Man out as far as people go, and you say, okay, the sun might be starting over, but people ain't going in one side and coming out the other. It definitely opens up a new part of the argument that nobody seemed to be bringing up back when I remember first starting my flat earth research. So back in 2016, 17, I don't remember, anybody really discussing that possibility. And so I know by around late 2017, 18, FPV Angel started his research with there being separate ends. And then Shay started her research with there being separate ends of the world as well. And so I didn't quite put two and two together that the sun starts over or is starting over somehow, but not people. And so now that I've wrapped my head around that and I'm starting to research this notion, I'm starting to find evidence that is supporting that notion. So I haven't 100% proven it to myself yet, but I find these shipping routes to be extremely interesting. There's always somebody who thinks they're a know-it-all. Like one guy's trying to tell me nautical miles aren't the same as statute miles. The sea route shows them going across the world in the wrong direction. Okay, know-it-all? Hey, why don't you go post on your channel how it works? I like when people who don't have shit on their channel show up and want to act like they're so smart, yet they've never explained anything or exposed anything. All right, so let me go ahead and show you guys another few maps that I was looking at. So here's one that's like cartoony, but it actually looks like it could also be fairly accurate, even though it's cartoony and kind of stupid looking at first glance. It actually has some possible merit to it. All right, you guys ready? Here we go. So this one, like I said, it's a little cartoony, but still you got Alaska and Russia on separate sides of the map. See, here's Alaska. Then you got Russia over here. And so what I like about this one is the continent shapes are close to being accurate. So the boating route would have you still go through the Panama Canal down below Africa if you're going to Australia. And then let's say some flight routes. You could go, let's say, from Los Angeles to Tokyo. You'd fly north up and over like this. So even though this one's cartoony looking, it might still be way more accurate than the AE map or the globe for that matter, or the concave. So I'm looking at all sorts of maps and trying to make sense of it, even if at first glance they look stupid and cartoony. All right, Tahuti the Alchemist says there is no footage of anyone traveling from deep inland Russia over the Bering Strait into Alaska, but you can find footage of people traveling from Alaska to the landmass they think is Russia. Good point. So that means west of Alaska, we could have an island or a continent, who knows how big, and they're disguising that as Russia. So they want you to think that across from Alaska is Russia, and that our world just starts right over again there on a globe that you just go right around in a circle, and on an AE map you go around in a circle, and in a concave cell you go around in a circle. However, according to, let's say, Shay, FPV Angel, Tahuti the Alchemist here, and a few others I'm finding out there who subscribe to this style of model, that landmass west of Alaska might be some hidden land that we're not allowed to go to. Or the people who go there don't realize that they're not actually in a land that's not Russia when they arrive there. So very good point. So we'll go ahead and look at Google Earth, and I'll show you guys how close it looks like on Google Maps. Mr. Chris 7582 with a donation says the scientists do say northern hemisphere is smaller than south. Maybe it has some merit, just not a globe. Yeah, I'm still trying to look at all sorts of different maps, and I'm gonna like compare some flight routes and some times and some shipping routes, and I'm just gonna see like what makes most sense. But I'm gonna make sure that Russia and Alaska are separated. So I'm looking at any sort of map where those two places are separated. So any map that puts them together, I'm basically throwing it out. Thanks for the donation, buddy. All right, let me go ahead and share the Google map for a second. Okay. So according to Concave Earth, Globe Earth, and the AE mappers, that's Russia on the left, and that's Alaska on the right, and they're separated right there by the international date line in the Bering Strait with the Diomede Islands in the middle. Here's the deal. You're not allowed to go from Wales over here to this ULN. They say you're not even allowed to go from Little Diomede to Big Diomede, or they'll sick Russian dogs on you. And Russian soldiers will arrest you and detain you. So you have to look at the fact that we are enemies, pretend enemies, if you will, in my opinion, with Russia. And so something that is said to be only 52 miles in distance, you're legally not allowed to just take that trip. Furthermore, when you look at the planes crossing this route from various locations, they're doing some very strange stuff. So when we looked at the plane going from Los Angeles to Tokyo, it didn't just go west from Los Angeles to Tokyo, Japan. It flew all the way up here into Alaska, into the Bering Sea, turned around, flew all the way across the United States going this way, east, and then cut back down to Japan. So the other day when we looked at the flight route, I'm sure some of you guys remember that. It was pretty interesting. We'll go ahead and take a quick look at that again. Just in case any of you guys missed the flight route, I'm just going to quickly re-show that again. All right. So as you can see, the plane, when it took off from LA, headed north, started going up into Alaska. It didn't go straight across the ocean like you figure it would. And then started to turn circles. Look at this. See? Started to turn around and go the opposite direction a few different times. Then it did this little zigzag pattern. Flies across these Alaskan islands. And then It gets to this point and it does something extremely funny. Something that doesn't quite make any sense at all. So we're watching it in real time. If I just let it play, that's about how fast it goes. And it gets to this one certain point out in the middle of the ocean between Alaska and Russia. And this is, of course, going to Japan. And it go ahead and it turns around, starts heading the opposite direction. See? So I'll show you what it looked like in real time as we're watching. Here it goes. So that's what it looked like on the flight tracking screen when I was watching this flight that was supposed to go from Los Angeles to Japan. It turned around, shot across the screen. At that point, I'm trying to catch up with the flight, the airplane on the screen. So I start dragging the cursor across, trying to catch up with it. And I catch up with the plane. It's going backwards, heading east. And it's booking it across the world. Going backwards, of course, to the east. So this is what the flight tracker showed. And then it gets out past Tokyo, back out into the ocean, disappears off the screen. At this point, I say, where the hell did the flight go? I back up, try and locate it. And I find now it's back over the top of the United States again, still flying backwards. So this just shows you that the flights, the data is completely not reliable. The routes they take don't make sense. And then whenever you track the route, you might see something like this, the plane flying backwards. So that was my flight manipulation data that I found. And you can go watch that in a stream that me and Shay did together last week if you want to watch the entire thing. So I don't want to repeat the exact thing that I already showed last stream, but so there you have it. You got flight data manipulation, and you also have sea route manipulation. For those of you who are arriving late, I'll go ahead and show you the sea route manipulation one last time because it's very, very quick and easy. All you have to do is go to a website called ports.com. Very easy to remember, ports.com. Then you go to this tab, sea route, and then you type in something, let's say on one side of the date line and then something on the other side of the date line. So in this case, let's say we're going to go Anchorage, Alaska. So we'll go Port of Anchorage. And then we'll say Anchorage, Alaska to Sydney, Australia. Port of Sydney. Okay, so you would think from Anchorage, Alaska, you're just going to go south mostly and a little bit west. So a little bit southwest from Anchorage to Sydney, right? Not so fast. So here is the shipping route that they would take 21,139 nautical miles from Anchorage, Alaska to Sydney, Australia. What do you think of that? Got a super chat from Papumbo says, please check the Flat Earth app from OPRO projects. From O projects. If it's an AE map or any circle map, I'm going to be highly mad. Highly irritated. But okay, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. So there you go. That's from Anchorage to Sydney. 86 days at 10 knots is how long it would take. If we go to 20 knots, it would take 44 days. Fast as it'll go, 40 knots. And that's is absolute maximum speed the whole time. 22 days. to go from Anchorage to Sydney. So there you go. Just showing you guys that the ports have them going the long way across. They don't have them going the short way. Anchorage to Papeete. Okay. Yeah, that one shows just straight down. Here, let me get rid of the other one. That one shows that's just a straight shot. Interesting. Where the heck was it? Could not find the route. There it is. Okay. Okay, so those must be on the same side of the Earth. See, because that one just shows a straight route south, a direct southern route. That one only says 4,800 miles, about 5,000 miles. All right, Angelo Zapp with a donation. Thank you very much, Angelo. See, so that one would be on the same side. So it's all about that international date line over here. This is about where the plane turned around, was out here in Alaska, over these islands, turned around right here. So it's all about the date line. All right, let's do let's change it up and go with something from South America, like something like Chile to New Zealand. Let me find one that's in Chile. In New Zealand. Okay. Here we go. Chile and New Zealand. There it is, the long way. And it still shows the other route on the map, but that's okay. So Chile to New Zealand. See, they're going the long way. They ain't going the short route. All right, you want Papet to, okay, I'll go with that one. Port Papeete, French Polynesia to New Zealand. Shit, let me refresh the screen so the other routes aren't on there. All right, here you go. French Polynesia to New Zealand. Long way. That's a long way. 17,910 miles. Fast as you could possibly go should take you about almost 19 days. So all these shipping routes basically going the long way don't make sense on a globe. They don't make sense in concave, and they don't make sense on AE map. Understand? Understand why on a globe it would be so much faster if they would just go from here to here. On the AE map, they would just go from here to here. And on a concave Earth, they would go from here to here. You guys understand what we're looking at? All right, let's go with Russia. And then let's go Anchorage. Anchorage to Russia here. Shit, let me get rid of the other route. Shit. All right, here we go. Ooh, that's it. There it is, 25,000 miles. Instead of 52 miles, it's 25,000. 25,000 miles. There you go. Separated by 52 miles. Yet the sea route says 25,000 miles. Now, I'd like to see someone prove this completely wrong. Then why does this website even exist? Why is it showing that? So people were not impressed with the flight manipulation data that I showed. They're like, whatever, the plane's glitching, who cares? Well, now you have the seaports as well, showing that you're going the long way. So you got the plane manipulation and the seaports showing that you're going the long way. Just noting. All right. What do you guys think of this information that we're looking at? There was a guy in here when I first started who was commenting over and over again, saying some stuff about the flat Earth being a psyop and that we live inside a concave cell. And this is a problem for the concave cell. This is a gigantic problem because the concave cell is the same thing as the globe except inside out. So I've heard people try to tell me that the flat Earth is the big psyop to keep you away from the concave Earth. But let's go ahead and talk about that. I'll go ahead and pull up a concave cell, and we'll go ahead and talk about the issue that it's going to have when I share it real quick. So here's your concave cell, right? Well, you're still going to go from the United States inside the concave shell. You're going to go around it to Australia. You're still going to have Alaska and Russia inside this concave cell. If you were to close up this cell right here, Alaska and Russia are going to be next to each other. So the only reason Alaska and Russia aren't next to each other right now is because you have it cracked open to show what it looks like inside. But if you were to connect this crack with this crack over here, you're going to have Russia and Alaska being right next to each other. So that's the same thing as the globe. Why are you going the long route when in your concave world, your sea route should still be going the short route? So you have the exact same problem that the globe has, exact same problem that the AE map has. These routes are too damn long that I just showed you. Why are they going back the opposite way? So, all you concavers out there, you better get your shit together if you still have Russia and Alaska sitting next to each other. That's all I got to say about that. You better get to proving Russia and Alaska are right there next to each other for damn sure. Otherwise, your map is bunk. Otherwise, your concave cell is bunk. Just like I always told you it was. I never, ever fell for the concave, ever. It never made sense to me at all. So all you concavers who've been coming at me like I'm too stupid to figure it out, no, maybe you're too stupid to figure it out. Sorry if that hurts your feelings. But there's some people who came at me real sideways with the concave stuff, like they're so smart because they looked at a picture. All right, so I hope everybody liked what I presented today. It's just some research that I've been doing. You know, there's still a lot more research left to be done. Chris says concave is fake AF. Indeed. Indeed. You know what? I've been reinvigorated and rejuvenated with my flat earth research into this topic lately because of the information that I just presented you. So we have to start thinking that new land is literally just west. It's east, it's north, it's south. It's in every direction as new land. And they have us barnyarded in, and they've had our families for generations barnyarded in, and we're mentally enslaved to think that we live on the globe to keep us from knowing how big it is. So therefore you have to wonder if the elites aren't just out there having the time of their life exploring to us the great unknown, the wild wild west. And it also makes sense that they have a place for dead celebrities to go to. You know, dead celebrities have a place to go now. So on the AE map, all the continents have been discovered. Where else are they hiding new land? You have to get up on the ice wall and travel over the ice wall in some direction that's considered south in every direction in order to get to maybe another ice pond. But in this reality that we're looking at, if this is indeed reality, you can go this way and possibly find new land. You can go that way and find new land. You can go that way, possibly find new land. The question is, how far can you go before you get stopped? We got a disinformation master here in our chat. He's using the AE map. That's a bad sign. Says we need to gather 10,000 yachts and find this opening in the ice wall. Yeah, not 9,000, not 8,000, not 11, 10. Definitely 10. We need 10,000 for sure, right? And then you just said ice wall. Did you not pay attention to what I presented? Who said that there's an ice wall? So you and your fake map are here spouting off disinfo, sir. It's time to get rid of that profile pic if you consider yourself a real flat earth researcher, because that's the map all the shills and charlatans use. And even if the earth is not, you know, a rectangular barn shape, we have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt on this channel and others that the AE map has some serious issues. The sun spinning a circle over one point in the center doesn't add up. So I would suggest you get rid of that as your profile pic if you want to be taken seriously. Get it, you fuck? I've been Rickson. Ibn Rickson says Michael Jackson, Tupac, Kobe, all enjoying the hidden lands. Yeah, precisely. I don't think that they necessarily have to repackage every celebrity. So I think some celebrities might get the luxury of retiring on Celebrity Island and not having to deal with signing autographs, not having to deal with perform. And also, I think that they kill off the celebrities at a certain time to preserve them. So like Tupac, for instance, wouldn't be as famous today if he would have stayed rapping, put out some shitty albums, and then like you, let's say you went to watch him live and he wasn't very good or whatever, and then now he'd be like old and irrelevant, maybe rapping at the state fair or something. So it doesn't always behoove a celebrity to grow old. In some cases, it actually behooves them to die or fake die so that their legacy is intact and people remember them in their prime. They remember them uh, it, as great as they'll ever be, and that's the memory that they keep. So when a person continues living, their legacy can be tarnished. You see them age, get older. They might do some projects, musical projects, movies, what have you, that you don't like, and your opinion of them might change. So I always think of what Tupac would have looked like today and how he would sound today, and would he still be as awesome as old Tupac that we remember? And then Michael Jackson's a whole nother can of worms. I think the original Michael Jackson had his face burned off in a Pepsi commercial. And then that's when they switched him because his face was burnt all up and mangled in the Pepsi commercial that went wrong. He had pyro blow up in his face. So I think they switched out Michael Jackson at that point. So, but it's interesting just to imagine, and we can't prove it, just to imagine that there might be some more land, so therefore, this opens up a place for dead celebrities to go. You know. All right. So here I'm going off about Tupac and Michael Jackson in a flat Earth presentation, but it is interesting to think, perhaps some dead celebrities might still be alive on a land that we aren't permitted to know about. You know. I'm also wondering if out there in the ocean, if they're diverting flights to keep us from finding a piece of land, maybe out there near Australia. So maybe if you fly southwest from California towards what you think would be Australia, perhaps maybe you might find extra land out there, and they don't want you to go that direction, and so that's why they're going the other way. Yeah, celebrities get to do the fake death ritual, and there's a few different possibilities where, like, you could have a situation like Dave Chappelle, let's say, that maybe opens his mouth and gets taken out and then replaced. And then you can have other situations where a guy like Tupac might just switch roles, or Alex Jones, Bill Hicks, they might just switch roles and change characters. So, but that's for another stream, another day. All right. So, any questions about this information that we looked at here, as far as this rectangular prison Earth that we might possibly live in? And again, I implore all you guys to do your own research as well. It's real easy to just go visit one website that says Alaska and Russia are right next to each other, and here's how close they are in miles. But then when you look into flights and actually logistically flying from one spot to another, then you start looking at the duration of those flights and then scratching your head. And then when there's stops involved, sometimes the stops are so far out of the way, it doesn't even make sense, even from picking up extra passengers standpoint. So when you start involving stops and multiple stops, and then you look at the route, uh, you start really scratching your head, wondering, what in the hell's going on? What is this place? And that's what my research is all about, just trying to figure out what in the hell's going on and what is this place? That is the question, right? What is this place that we live in? Sean Smith, good question, says, what are the longest flights? I'll have to look into, like, what's the absolute longest flights available. I'll have to check into that. But I'm noticing that the flights going across that date line in some cases can be extremely long, and can also involve stops that are out of the way by thousands of miles. So there's still more research to be done, and I'm sure you guys, can do your own research, and you might find planes spinning around, heading the wrong way, some boat routes that don't make sense as well, and we can add that to the research. Aaron Calderon says 36 to 42 hours with multiple stops. Okay. Yeah, sometimes there's some weird ones where it was going to go LA to Japan, but then it goes to Alaska, then cut over to Chicago, and then over to Tokyo. So I saw some strange ones where they were flying out of the way by thousands of miles, it seems. Rose with a donation says, "Love seeing you again." Thanks, Rose. I'm glad you were here tonight and that you saw this stream. There's much more information to come. There's some daylight hours shenanigans that I want to get into in a future stream as well, and show you guys some of the tropical islands out there that appear to be next to each other, but could possibly be on opposite sides of the world. All right, Javid Ben Cosme says, if God represents love, then why not create Earth as a heart? But the LGBT community likes the heart-shaped Earth too, and they anti-God. Yeah, as far as the heart shape goes, it has Russia and Alaska a little closer together, but there's still a gap in between. And I found that map interesting because it lines up with the Mercator somewhat, but it kind of condenses what's going on in the north a little more, so that theoretically the flights would be shorter. So I was trying to figure out, by looking at some different maps, which shorten things up in the north and bring it to a point. I was seeing if perhaps those are more accurate than stretching everything out with Mercator. And so I'm still looking into it. There's lots of research left to be done. Lots of maps out there still left to see. But I did want to show you guys what I found, and what I found has supported Shea and FPV's research on the subject. So let's see. I even have a Flat Earth song that I haven't played in a while. Let me go ahead and play my Flat Earth song. Of course, We Don't Have Time, featuring Obama. Go ahead and pull it up. I'm sure some of you have never heard this. There's always somebody who's never heard this song, but most of you probably have heard it before. This is We Don't Have Time by Flat Earth Asshole, which I'm considering making a name change back to Flat Earth Asshole.
don't have time, we 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 don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society.
They're lying straight to your face because the earth is flat and there is no space. They lie. Control your mind if you can't wake up and you sleep till you die. This proof that the earth is flat, and once you go flat, you ain't never go back. It's true. And we should hang him for the crime. President Obama said we don't got time.
We don't have time, 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 we don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society. We don't have time, 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 we don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society.
Nobody has seen the earth as a ball. They painted it flat and they tricked you all. No man ever walked on the moon and nobody will anytime soon. Take a look at the cold hard facts. Look at the horizon, it's always flat. Sea level, they don't say sea curve while they're clinging to a ball. You got some nerve.
We don't have time, 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 we don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society. We don't have time, 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 we don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society.
Time to wake up, time to open up your mind, time to wake up, time to open up your mind, time to wake up, time to open up your mind, time to wake up, time to open up your mind.
have time, we don't have time, we don't have time, we don't have time, we don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society. We don't have time, 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 we don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society.
Time to wake up, time to open up your mind, time to wake up, time to open up your mind, time to wake up, time to open up your mind, time to wake up, time to open up your mind. Oh, now my life has changed ever since that day. Oh, now I'm never gonna be the same. Oh, now my life has changed ever since that day. Oh, now I'm never gonna be the same.
We don't have time, 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 we don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society. We don't have time, 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 we don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society.
I was muted. My bad. I was muted, guys. I muted myself so that the music video wouldn't echo and shit, and I wouldn't be like making noise during the music video. What I said was Javid Ben Cosme with a donation says, bring back Flat Earth Asshole. Catchy song, bro. Thanks, Javid. I am considering bringing back Flat Earth Asshole name. I'm on the cusp of making the change. So it's a serious consideration. Now that the subject seems to be back on the table, the land masses are up for grabs, new land up for grabs. The subject could be reinvigorated and rejuvenated, and we can kick the shills out of the conversation. Things could be really good for the flat earth if we do this properly. So I see the shills at some point, they're going to come a knocking, and they're going to want to hijack this information. Or they're going to want to really try and push that Pizza Pie Map is right. Pizza Pie Map has Russia and Alaska right next to each other. So does the globe, and so does Concave. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Pizza Pie Mappers do as far as trying to prove Russia and Alaska are right there next to each other. Because that's what they're going to have to do to prove their model. All right. Let's see. You got Viking Jerk in the house. Says logic looks like some fifth graders made it over the weekend. I don't know what that means. Must be making a point about something else that I didn't quite catch. Rose Bellman says, will you perform comedy and music again? Yes, I will. So the last couple weeks I have been having guests on, and we've been presenting this information. So I haven't been playing music with the bass and doing comedy routines as much. So I've been trying to get used to this new ability that I have to share information and have guests and try and get my channel back on track as more of a research channel. There was a time where I felt like maybe I was getting a little too goofy with the comedy to where, and I wasn't focusing maybe enough on the actual conspiracies at hand. So I was trying to make sure that this channel doesn't just turn into a big goof off session where all we do is, just make jokes and smoke and play music. So as fun as that stuff is, I wanted to make sure that the channel remains a serious research channel. And so the last few weeks have been dedicated to flat earth topic, because that is where the channel started. I started the channel as Flat Earth Asshole. And so I'm basically reconnecting with the topic, making my rounds back to the subject, which got me started. But I know a lot of you guys like it when I, do comedy routines and when I play the bass and do stuff like that. So I'm still going to do that. Still going to have streams where, like tonight, it's just me by myself and there's no guest. So definitely, perhaps I'll go ahead and set it all up for the next stream. I've been meaning to do some more bass stuff lately, but I get sidetracked with this research and new information and having these guests on. So perhaps next stream I'll have the bass going and play some music. But thank you for being here, Rose. I appreciate that. All right, Javid says, would like a video breaking down these new discoveries. So I'm thinking I'm going to do like an edited video with music and stuff, so it's not super long, and I'm going to include the plane footage and I'm going to include the ports footage and condense it. So I can do like a 15-20 minute style video and take all the best stuff from the streams and kind of put it together in a regular video. So that's the plan in the future. For right now is that I'm going to gather the best info that I can on this and then do like an edited video with music, narration, all that good stuff. Maybe I'll even have Shay do a little guest spot on it or something. Maybe have a little spot where have some guest speakers on the same video. So what I'd like to do eventually also, and I talked to Shay about this, is some sort of like documentary style piece even, because they have charlatan shill documentaries like Level, The Next Level, starring Dave Weiss and Hibbler and ODD. But if we want to get serious, we need a documentary of our own. It's not like a hit piece shill documentary. So I'm looking into also taking this information, the best of it, and creating more content with it outside just these streams, of course, so that it gets to more people. Because I believe if this is true, it's really important that people know that there's a deception at the date line. It's important that people know that you can't fly west to get east. I think that will wake up a shitload of people if they figure out how long it takes some of these planes to get from these locations that look like they're right next to each other. And then the routes that they're taking. If more people knew about this deception, they wouldn't look at flat Earth the same way they do now, And if we can get them to realize that not all of us are promoting the pizza pie map. Not all of us are promoting the shill map. So I think this information really needs to get out there, and hopefully it starts sinking in with people, because it's starting to sink in with me. Rose, thank you very much. She says, I like all your content. Hey, thank you very much. We started out this channel in 2016. It was a flat earth channel, and then I've branched out and done all sorts of stuff, original music, comedy routines. I've broken down all sorts of different conspiracies and topics, and at the same time, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I talk to my audience one-on-one like we're pals. In most cases, I talk to you guys like I would talk to my friends. I try to keep this a very personable experience between us. And a lot of other channels out there, they don't do it that way for a reason. All right. So I think I'll go ahead and wrap this one up. I've been on here about an hour and a half. I didn't want to go too long tonight, but I did want to show you guys what I found. And you guys definitely should do your own research, look into it, and I'll keep researching and see what I come up with. And until next time, this is Jake, the Flat Earth Asshole, signing out. Peace. Oh, got one last one before I shut it down. I was just about to shut it down, Javid. You got this one in at the last second. What's your favorite Flat Earth album coming out? Will you have, or no, when is your Flat Earth album coming out? Will you have future debates? Start a GoFundMe and team up with other channels for the documentary. Album, I need a few more songs. I haven't wrote any new Flat Earth songs, so I need to like sit down and actually like hammer out a full-on song. I haven't done that in a while. So I need some more songs if I'm going to do a full album. And let's see, debates. I don't really like debates because it's basically just an argument that goes nowhere and it doesn't solve anything. And there's people who want to debate, that the earth is a globe versus flat. And it's like, why? What's the point? Why do you need to debate with a globie? And they're never going to concede defeat. No one ever concedes defeat and says, you won, I lost. Everyone always thinks they won. And so every globe cuck thinks they win every single debate against every single flat earther. So it's a waste of time. And that's why they're there. And that's why the whole debate exists on YouTube, is to waste your time. So I'd rather avoid wasting my time and show you guys the research that I'm finding, like tonight. Rather than me go back and forth with some globe cuck, I showed you guys the shipping routes. I showed you the plane manipulation. We looked at 4 different styles of map that look better than a globe right now, or an AE map. So that's what I'm doing. That's the thing I'm looking into, which is real flat earth research. So look at the other supposed flat earth channels and ask yourself what sort of research they've been doing lately. And then look at what I've been doing and the people I've been bringing on. And the proof is in the pudding. The real research is happening here. So, all right. Thank you, Javid. I appreciate that, buddy. And I appreciate everyone for being here. I will go back and watch the replay and read everyone's comments. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'll probably go live again in the next few days. So always be on the lookout for my next stream and my next video. I ain't going nowhere. We have only just begun. Until next time, Flat Earth Asshole signing off. Peace.